Hello and welcome to Resolve, an after-play show. This is an after show for a role-playing game that does not have an actual play, where we tell you all the details of our game, so you'll have to listen to it. Hi, I'm Sammie, I'll be your host. My pronouns are she, her, and I play Isiri Omoli, the Hope of the Abyss, who also uses she, her. Joining me is my wonderful co-host, Alex.
Hi, I'm Alex. I play Moogle Avatar of Alexander Smog. Both of us use he, him pronouns.
Joining us today is Zach.
Hi, I'm Zach. I use he, him pronouns, and I play Tao, the multiple musicians who use they, them.
Welcome, thank you for joining us today. Now that we're all here, Alex, why don't you tell us about the actual play?
Previously, in EFFETE, Poni and Tara train more in a coliseum, and Poni learns to augment her strikes with gravity magic. They return to Sequence Charter after being informed of the incident with Isiri and Sierra. Isiri and Tara speak about the incident in Tara's past, concluding with Tara allowing the party to continue as usual on Sequence Charter. After some short conversations, WorldCorps sans Geyser heads to sleep and enters the world of the lost. They find Valentine waiting for a bus, alone, still carrying the jade lungs. They join Valentine in an otherwise unoccupied bus to a segment of the world of the lost relating to the world of spirit. There, the Master and Juice 2 are digging a hole. Valentine gives the Master the lungs. The Master explains that Juice 2 is digging for something not quite forgotten, but the people of the world of spirit are not conscious of. Smog realizes this is a representation of Juice and tells the party that he is not ready to share what it is. After checking their interest, Smog promises to search for adoptive parents for Valentine if they are returned from the world of the lost. Tao suggests retrieving information about the governance and Earth from the world of the lost in the form of a book. The party agrees, and the Master provides it. The Master returns WorldCorps to the waking world.
Now you've heard the actual play, let's do a deep dive into the session. We have an excellent scene with Poni and Tara doing training, and I so wish Carolyn was available for this episode because I feel like getting Poni's mental insight from her would be very helpful. But I do think that this has probably been one of the coolest training sessions we've seen so far.
Yeah, Poni's been having some really interesting training sessions between Tara and Smog, mostly. I know a lot of it tends to be when Carolyn ends up missing a session and has some time to make up, but it's all really fun to see.
Poni starts not able to do as much. It makes sense to maintain this rigorous training schedule to keep up with everyone else. In fact, she's constantly comparing herself to stuff that Smog and Isiri and Tao and everyone are doing.
Yeah, especially when she's always being seen as a hero by people that she meets. That's got to be a lot of pressure on such a small horse.
I also love the narrative that Carolyn and Dan are building here with Tara saying, I think part of magic is knowing about it. And it feeds into the idea of Poni being obsessed with being a unicorn, trying to hone in on something that she thought that she should innately have instead of trying to learn something. And now focusing on learning something, she's making leaps and bounds in training progress.
Yeah, that is very interesting. Almost that trope of once you give up on the idea that you have all that power is when you start actually getting it.
Yeah, I think that makes sense because it's generally from a different source, right? Instead of something that she's been innately supposed to have, she's supposed to be a unicorn, she's supposed to be doing all of these things just by essence of her being. Now she's forcing herself to learn what it actually takes to get there.
Right, yeah.
And learning can actually be fun.
Especially when you're breaking stone columns and shit.
Yeah.
Tara took Poni to the old literal combat arenas that Tara used to be forced into combat with and used the facilities there to give Poni possibly the best training session available.
Yeah, it definitely feels healing for Tara too. Being able to turn the Colosseum into something that was so gray. It seemed to be something that she felt euphoric about because she was exceeding at it. But then they also were pitted into this, not completely of their will, being manipulated at the very least. This is something that's just purely good coming out of what used to be a very gray place.
Yeah. And I think you can tell that because Tara definitely seems a lot more comfortable in this setting than compared to their office or any other official capacity around Sequence Charter. It's where I think Tara on some part feels like she should be.
Yeah, it's one of those classic role-playing tropes that I think Tara falls into, is the local hero who had greatness thrust upon them. It's very much like a thing that happens with a lot of fighter types in like a D&D.
Yeah, just want to stay a farm boy, but forced to go kill the evil wizard kind of thing, but never really leaving those roots.
But I like that Tara just is like, yeah, I'll let you in a secret. I figured out that I can use gravity magic. Just blam, destroys the nearest rock wall.
And Pony's like, oh yeah? Well, look at this. Destroys the entire fucking arena.
Basically, yeah. Carolyn had like a really good idea in having Pony ask about what Tara's thinking about, because they're both coming from the same place of ostensibly having no magical capability, but now I'm discovering it. And Pony's just like, yeah, I think about like channeling this aspect of myself either into my face or my hooves or whatever magic I'm doing. And Tara's just like, I just really wanted to hit it. I really wanted to break things.
I cast fist.
Literally.
Maybe I need to be in my body more instead of thinking about how my body can do the worst possible things.
I just greatly enjoy how Dan portrays Tara because there's so many little facets there that get pulled out depending on what they're doing.
It is very interesting to see a much more composed Tara now that we've had so much time, both in and out of narrative, away, because there was a volatility in Tara, especially after they changed playbook in the first game, because the wool was removed from over their eyes. There's so much they were understanding about their own world. And now we've seen there's still that curiosity, but she's also calmed down from that a lot.
Okay. Not familiar with what exactly went on with Tara in that first game.
I think that a lot of Tara has experienced since her mental out-of-body simulation experience in the first campaign and then coming back to her reality, changing the course of that reality by starting a civil war. That was probably the catalyst that calmed them down a lot more, because I don't think of any circumstance other than like maybe some sort of pure insanity where you experience a war that brutal and then be like, yeah, let's go.
I think that there could be a version of Tara where they're just keep fighting as much as they can, try to chase the governance off-world, like it's more about revenge than getting back.
Absolutely, but I feel like this current version of Tara, at least the one we're experiencing, has a lot more concern for defending and caring for people.
Yeah.
And I think that's the razor blade that we've cut. And I do like Pony's asking about other skills. Tara's trying to teach her a lot of defensive and maybe some offensive things. But Pony's like, well, what about healing? And Tara's just like,
How do I teach this horse medicine?
How do I teach horse medicine? It's a valid question. The correct answer, which is what Tara said, was you should probably talk to your friends. How cruel. From a dramatic irony perspective, that Tara keeps referring to Isiri not knowing what is happening simultaneously from the last session.
Yeah, not knowing that as this is happening, Isiri is currently hurting a bunch of people back in the lab.
I'm not hurting people. I'm being a menace. There's a difference.
I don't know if Sierra is conscious yet after that.
We don't know that. We didn't touch on it yet.
I know that he was unconscious immediately after that.
Listen, Eldritch Horror does what Eldritch Horror does. It's not my fault that the puny human brain cannot contain this much ooze.
That is fair, but maybe try to keep the Eldritch Horror down around people.
That's valid.
No Cthulhu's in the building.
Don't let them in, don't let them see.
You're right.
No. Isiri has to be the good girl she always had to be.
Yep. But now they know.
So now she has to work extra hard.
I guess if she's been all the way down in the abyss, the cold probably doesn't bother her anyway.
I have that move.
Is that a move?
Yeah, it's the third level for the light.
Nice.
Wait, it's called The Cold Never Bothered Me Anyway?
It's called Nothing Hurts Like the Cold, but same vibe.
Okay. Like, that would be great. I would love to see that in the book.
That would be wild.
I was going to make a stupid joke, which is there should be a light move that lets you convince somebody with light that's called Be the Good Girl.
There is a light move that does let you convince somebody with light, but it's not called that.
I didn't realize that there was one of those. What is that one?
I don't have my stuff in front of me, but if you're trying to convince somebody when they're angry, you can roll light instead of...
Right.
Yeah.
It's not a pure set flip. It's a conditional set flip.
Yeah. I know, because I used to have it. I no longer have it.
Light in every dark place.
Yes.
Very fitting for Isiri, but she seems to have lost the move now.
It's okay. I may or may not pick it back up. We shall see.
I understand. I had to pick Dark Portal back up.
I know for sure I'm definitely picking back up my lie detector, because I would be absolutely remiss not to pick that back up.
Oh, yeah. That's a strong one.
Yeah. That's plan 1. The first level.
Mm-hmm. I think most of what I did with level 1, especially being the memory that has that whole mechanic of losing length and stuff tied into that. Level 1, I picked up stuff related to that, because I knew I would lose it if I went to another playbook.
Mm-hmm.
So I am fine not getting any of that back. Although, being the connected, I can also lose any of my other moves at any moment. Because you can shuffle up your moves and just take all new moves when you go to a new place and meet a new version.
See, I did not know that. I thought you had to keep the same moves.
No, you can change out moves, you can swap your stats around, spend your links for each link spent, switch one stat, or move with another. So you can swap your moves out entirely from one session to the next if you keep getting linked.
That's cool. I knew the stats part, but I didn't realize the moves were included in there.
Mm-hmm.
It's very flexible. I like that.
I didn't do that when we came back to Sequence Charter for this new Tau, but might see if that ends up happening for some of the other Taus going forward. I didn't know how long we were going to stay in Sequence Charter, so I figured don't bother spending all the links moving stuff around, but could be a fun way to make some more unique expressions of Tau.
At some point during Poni and Tara's training montage, Tara's elite guard warps into the arena and tells them what's going on in the lab, and Tara has to address the situation, which is a scene that went about how I expected to, but also at the same time, not at all how I expected it to. Because around the house, I was telling Dan, you know that comic where it's like the bear that walks in and it's just like, guess who just got yelled at? I was expecting that sort of engagement. I was not expecting the deep philosophical quandary that we got into.
Tara did share a little bit with Poni about having her own world travel experience that gets brought up again in this conversation. It almost becomes the focus of it. The difference between the two experiences is that we've had to physically embody it. For Tara, it was something that happened in their mind and almost didn't happen in their mind. They could have not taken their experiences back from the server, but there have been drastic physical changes to a lot of the party because we are physically moving through these places.
Yes. But I think at the core of this conversation is either way you slice it, no matter if it was physical or, you know, in the mental space that Tara experienced, their experience, it fundamentally changes you. And even Tara was quick to point out, this may or may not be the reason why our history on this planet was set the way it was because of my experience. And I have a lot of feelings about that I don't know what to do with.
I love that. That's one of the big things we're going into with this game is every character is feeling very dynamic. Everyone's changing and growing based on everything that they're running into in all these different worlds and all of the different party members.
I just really appreciate how Daniel opened this conversation, and instead of reprimanding or outwardly angry, I'm sure there was a lot of internal anger and frustration on Tara's behalf. It was, how do you feel? Trying to get at the core of emotionally what you were thinking about that triggered this massive change in you.
It makes sense because Tara's also had those moments of big feeling and needing to have something traumatic happen physically to coincide with that. I'm thinking about when they had a bad time speaking to a god, overloaded their brain, and then she just went out to the ocean, had to like lay out in the middle of the ocean for a bit.
Daniel and I reference that event at least on a monthly basis. Tara found unconscious in Miami.
Big Florida man moment.
As much as I love Tara's response here, I also really liked Tony's response of, we all destroy stuff from time to time, no big deal.
Yeah, that's where we get the title for this one. It's been so long since I've taken Spanish. It's like, is this what's grammatical? Because I think this is like, this specifically is not a problem. No hay problema would be like, there isn't a problem in general. But whatever. Who's to say that Poni knows all the grammar?
I'm just shocked that Poni knows Spanish in general.
She learned it from Puss in Boots.
You're right. Poni was an interesting accessory to this scene because they didn't say much during the course of it. Honestly, that conversation got very intense. When Poni did cut in, it definitely offered a lot of breathing room that was much appreciated. I'm so obsessed with Tara point blank. Is it safe for you to still be near my people? To Isiri. Definitely targeted towards her in this moment, but definitely extending to the rest of the party.
Probably mostly Geyser.
I don't know. I think we're all sort of suspect in this moment.
Original Spice Smog would be more of a problem, honestly.
Yeah, possibly.
I agree, but now there's more unknowns. Isiri's response is just like, I vow I won't be a problem, but I also vow that I will step in if my comrades become a problem.
Yeah, it's almost doubling down on the earlier promise to make up for the previous incident.
Yeah, and I also like Tara's response to that, which is, good, I'll hold you to that, but I also want you to make sure you hold me to my promise to you. The mutual respect here is just like, ugh. Can't get over it.
So after that, we catch back up with Tao, who's come to Smog's room, sort of debrief. We go back over how ridiculously this room is decorated with the sort of form of the 70s, but the colors and other stylings of the 80s, somehow hard, dark colors, but fluffy textures. I love it.
Very interesting. Very Smog.
You should design this in The Sims.
Oh my god. I would not know the first thing. It would probably be easier to design real furniture.
You should design this in Happy Home Designer.
We also ended up talking a little bit about how Tao's living quarters might have changed now that they're from here.
Tao turning into the Connected has been kind of an interesting thing. I didn't initially think about the whole, you are a part of this world now, and now you have always been a part of this world. So all these weird little things of like, this is how you remember it before, but now it has always been this other way, are fun to get into. Like this Jimmy Buffett Tao with Island Time posters and a singing bass on the wall.
I love it. I'm obsessed. Tiki Bar Tao. I would go visit that bar any day of the week. Although I do have to ask, is Tao struggling to keep up with those two dichotomies? Especially because we've spent so much time on Sequence Charter, for example. They have their pre-transition memories, and then now that they are the Connected, are those always been their memories conflicting with their experiences?
If it's brought to their attention, any of the individual worlds' Taos would find it a bit disorienting, but otherwise they would just continue on as they would remember it and not necessarily how it would have seen the first time coming through.
That makes sense to me.
But yeah, to get back to Smog and Tao's little meetup here, where Tao's especially concerned with what to do about Isiri after all of that. It's weird because the first world we went to was specifically hitting all of Tao's issues, but Tao in general is not a confrontational person, so is not going to straight up go to Isiri and be like, I don't know if I can trust you anymore. Tao is going to go around to the other members of the party and be like, hey, what should we do about this? Is this okay? They're not going to confront anyone because they're designed to like help and assist people, but they still have their own issues.
Yeah, and I kind of love Smog's answer here, which is very ambiguous and unhelpful.
Oh, most unhelpful of time traveler. Friggin'
Really annoyed, like, yeah, she just kind of needed to be this way at this time. Don't worry about it. But also, she's going to be kind of interesting to talk to.
Mm-hmm. This was always going to happen this way. Didn't you see?
Shenanigans. I don't know what Tao does with that information. Are they going to go talk to, like, Geyser and Poni about it? Is that enough? Do they need more?
They're probably okay with talking to Smog about it, because Smog seems like kind of the leader of the group, honestly. In Tao's eyes, at least. Smog as at least the most mature adult of the group.
Literally the oldest right now, I guess.
Yeah, well, how old is the Abyss?
Before time.
Yeah, so Smog might not be the oldest. But aside from Isiri, I don't think Tao necessarily expects Geyser and Poni to share the complex feelings on the situation.
That's fair.
Mm.
Although I would like to hear their complex feelings on the situation, but I doubt we're going to receive. Poni in the last scene, Isiri was just like, do you have any questions? Do you want to talk about this? And Poni's just like, nah, I'm good.
Yeah.
Keep girl bossing.
Keep girl bossing, I guess.
Poni is the knucklehead, very shonen protagonist, very, no, it's all good. I don't need any more. We're fine now. The terrible stuff you did was 30 minutes ago.
Anyway, when are we going to eat?
Literally, though.
There's also a moment where Tao tries to find commonality in being spread across different places to come back with information. And Smog is like, well, the difference is that I have a Lassie pact. There's two entities here. You're all the same throughout all of this. There's a little bit more control that it seems Tao has.
Right.
But I thought that was pretty insightful still. Like, yes, there's a commonality there.
Yeah, I don't think Tao's ever really heard Smog talk much about the other Smogs. There's been some talk of summoning Smog from another reality to get some info, but not really any idea that all these other Smogs are out there in other timelines doing their own quests.
Yeah, Tao was asking about the Alexander form, and Smog explained, like he did with Geyser, like, I can't do that all the time. It burns up this bit of mana that I have from Alexander, and I need to get this information back. I can't burn it all and have no information.
Right.
But also mentions any other power that came to the world of the lost went to other possibilities of Smog. We can't just borrow more of it to keep summoning.
That's just the consequences of busting through a realm that's not yours.
Yeah. The consequences of cracking a rift between planes.
As you do.
As you do. Doing exactly what the master of a plane tells you not to do.
Because they wanted you to do it.
Right.
Yeah, simultaneously, Isiri also would like to hop into bed and finds Powder still hanging out in the tank, wearing headphones, completely oblivious to all the alarms.
Yes, big of heart, dumb of ass is Powder. And no idea anything just happened. Sitting there, chilling out, reading her comic books.
I would hope you're not reading comic books right over water.
Big of heart, dumb of ass.
Yeah, you can read comics at the aquarium.
Yeah, you could read books at the aquarium too. You could read the aquarium map and hopefully not get it soaking wet. I don't think generally people are that clumsy, right?
Yeah, just don't drop it in the manta ray petting pool.
I would love to pet a manta ray. That would be a massive... Because I've been to a manta ray tank at an aquarium and it is ginormous.
I would love to read a comic to a manta ray.
Same. I want to sit in the stingray touch tank and have them just like sit on my lap like puppies. That's just the platonic ideal of my existence right now. But yeah, Powder is a sweetheart and it's just like, oh, did everything go good with Sierra? And the series like, yeah, but no.
And Powder just takes it in stride, I don't think understanding the gravity of the situation at all.
No. Not in the slightest. But I did think it was a cute scene because clearly Powder was waiting there all this time and just enjoying that spot.
Isiri did say she was welcome to come back anytime.
That's true. And then Powder promptly barrel rolls off the 40-foot tank ledge and lands perfectly on the ground. But whatever.
Do a barrel roll.
Basically. I mean, I guess they do professionally grapple and hook everywhere, so I guess that tumbling skill comes in handy. We're going back to the world of Lost, y'all.
Yeah.
It's bedtime.
I love that I switched voices fast and was not saying who was talking, and the first thing Sammie does is light up and clap. It's multiple voices.
I wish I had a more dynamic voice than I currently do, because I would be doing so many stupid voices all the time. So anytime anyone else does it, it just fills me with immense glee.
This explains why you have to ask Dan to do all the voices.
Yes, because it's great. And he's so genuine.
Isiri also has her own interesting appearance in the world of the Lost.
That's right, because she's just the abyss now. Her silhouette is the same, so she still has her shadowy outline, but instead of all the weird incurring textures that people get in the world of Lost, it's just black. There's nothing. There's no swapping. It's just the infinite void and then two white eyes staring back at you.
Beautiful.
Beautiful. Everything I ever wanted out of a girl, you know?
Slay, Eldrittor, slay.
I don't know if you want that. Then we find Teddy sitting on a bus bench and a bus stop sign waiting and just holding the lungs, kicking their little teddy bear feet. Somewhat happy to see us, but also worried because apparently the master is missing.
There has to be a Paddington still that we can steal that's basically exactly that, right?
Probably.
There should be somewhere.
If not, there's probably a corduroy one.
Hell yeah. We're very concerned with Teddy not having already delivered the lungs. And we try to figure out where the master is. Tao's already spent that link. Can't do that. But you know who we can track?
Juice! Juice 2! To the rescue! Juice 2!
If you haven't seen the Peggle 2 announcement video, go watch it right now.
I fucking love that video.
It'll warm your soul.
But unfortunately, Juice 2 is not in Sequence Charter / the general world of the Lost. It's very ambiguous, but I'm going to assume it's attached to Sequence Charter for the time being. But they are in the world of the Lost Spirit, connected to the world of Spirit, which is where they're originally from, so I guess there's no guarantee that the Master would have been there either.
Teddy did say that he last saw the Master with Juice 2, but still working off a bit of a hunch. In order to get there, we could wake up, go over to the other world, fall asleep there, or just take the bus.
To figure out what time it came, Teddy had to rattle a display to get a pamphlet to fall down, because apparently none of us can be arsed to grab one.
Well, they just kind of did that. They didn't
They didn't ask for help at all.
I very would have, handed them something, but they just did that.
I just love the idea of, 20 pamphlets floating down gently, but Teddy waits until there's a couple on the floor and picks one up. And of course the bus is just coming soon. Isn't that nice?
It is.
Yep, just in time.
But it's not a modern bus. It's, a 1960s powder blue, maybe a little bit like that Forrest Gump bus.
I've never seen Forrest Gump.
Shame.
I don't remember what the bus looks like in Forrest Gump.
I've been playing Persona 5, so it's I wonder if it's going to be a cat.
I was thinking the same thing.
Or because of Isiri, if it'll be a catfish.
Catfish bus.
Also not out of the question, because Totoro is ostensibly just a big teddy bear-like creature, kind of. I know it's not a bear, but whatever. And then Teddy just sitting at a bus stop, it just immediately drew that image to mind.
It would be funny if it was very toy-like. If it was a Hot Wheel or something.
Or that little Tykes, red and yellow car.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
It's Barbie's dream convertible.
Oh, the Malibu convertible? Hell yeah.
Hell yeah. So ready for the fucking Barbie movie.
I may actually go see that.
Gonna get the double feature with Oppenheimer.
God.
Yes! What a surreal world we live in. But the bus pulls up. There's no driver. There's no passengers. The windows are solid, as dark as black as Assyria's. Ghost bus. I've seen this movie.
It is squeaky clean, except for the little outfits that Teddy has to wear in the different areas of the world of the Lost.
I like how those come with the bus. Did Teddy leave them on the bus for themselves, or are they generated when they enter a new place?
Does every bus just have one?
I feel like they're assigned uniforms from the master, and each time Teddy has to go somewhere, the master places a new outfit in there.
Mm-hmm.
There's some faint twinkling lights that Teddy decides to look at. Tao takes a peek at them too.
Mm-hmm. Doing some stargazing. Teddy says that they look like the stars that he's seen pictures of.
Because he's only seen pictures.
Only seen pictures.
Little
Like a baby.
creature.
Smog braids Pony's mane with Alexander.
Do you think that would hurt because the little robot servos get tangled, or are they more dexterous than that?
It's not that simple, so probably wouldn't be too bad. And Isiri does some humming.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Isiri sprawls out across the back half of the bus.
I mean, she is 10 feet long.
She is a 10-foot-long shadow, pure darkness.
I mean, she couldn't enter the bus, so I was like, let's just go through the back window. It's black. I'm a shadow. Let's just
Yeah,
go
I mean,
through.
if it works.
I like the moment of you having your what is it? What is the horror movie?
Oh, The Ring?
Yeah, having your ring experience of popping out of the screen, sort of being trapped in darkness for a second.
It's fine. That's how she normally is. This is the most light exposure she's gotten her entire existence.
And that's all well and good for a while, but then everything gets real bumpy. Start getting jostled around the bus.
Yeah, I can't imagine the infrastructure for the World of the Lost Spirit is very good, considering it is in a rainforest jungle.
Yeah, got some very good suspension on this bus coming through, rolling over the tree roots and whatnot.
Maybe we need to invest in like a private helicopter for Teddy.
That would require somebody to lose a helicopter.
Well, we just need to set up our own Bermuda Triangle.
Yeah.
Do not give me ideas for a series. That's very plausible.
Does Isiri know what happened to Amelia Earhart?
She's not going to answer that, but she's just going to hold up a coconut crab.
Oh no.
I've seen recently that Amelia Earhart might have just run away to be gay. Love that.
Love that, but true.
I think it's true.
Good for her.
Love to see it.
Bus door opens. We, through our various means, exit the vehicle. And after a brief search, we find Juice 2 digging a hole. And by a hole, I mean a good, 20 feet deep trench. And the master's sitting right next to it.
Mm-hmm. Just watching the dog dig.
I love that as soon as the lungs have been passed off, Teddy helps digging too. And I was like, oh, it's like those teenagers at the beach.
Yeah, just you gotta make the biggest hole possible so somebody falls in and breaks their hip.
It's already 20 feet. It's gonna be a bit more dangerous.
You can only take psychic damage in the World of the Lost.
For now. I'm sure this will get worse. I love when the master finally realizes we're all here. They look up and it's just like, oh, Isiri, did you do something new with your tentacles? And the answer is yes, I did. Thank you for noticing. Fluff's tentacles.
I love how Dan uses rare or sillier words to explain everything that happens in the process of the master getting an organ back, like things gooping back in or something like that. It's all very silly and strange.
It's like that Pharaoh fluid eating a magnet, if you've ever seen that. It's disturbing. I love it. I love how fucked up the master is.
It's so funny that they're so angry they don't have a brain to be able to properly process anything, and they hate having a heart that makes them feel.
Yeah, they're going through it, as they say.
I mean, they've lost a lot of their essence, so I would understandably be frustrated as well, getting those bits and pieces back, but not in a way that you can, or not having the ability, rather, to logic out why you're experiencing these things. It's gotta be very frustrating.
And then, as usual, Master asks what reward we would want for bringing back one of their organs, and Smog brings up the idea that maybe once we get all the organs, the world of the lost will just be destroyed? I don't remember if that was ever brought up before. It felt kind of out of nowhere.
Well, basically, Smog was like, we should probably get Teddy out before we're done with this, because also maybe everything is going to stop being again like it was before, like the Master seems to want it to be.
Yeah, the Master said that they didn't exist before this happened, and this place didn't exist in this physical way that it does now.
Okay.
So it's more an educated guess than anything, but yes, also very concerning.
I don't know if concerning or wild guess, but we'll see what happens, I guess. Master might be able to tell us more if we get his brain next, but he doesn't know what'll happen because they don't have a brain.
I wonder if we'll just be able to come here after it's all completely connected too. Like, that would be strange. I don't know if I like that idea.
It's weird because we are going to collect a WorldCorps from them. What does that connection become made manifest in the same fashion that we've been doing previously?
Maybe it'll mean that people can find lost things in their worlds that would normally have just completely disappeared into the world of the lost. I don't know.
It means your lost socks stop being eaten by the sock.
The sock fairy stopped stealing them.
No, the sock monster cannot be sustained. Although I do like the horror possibility that the Master gets the ability to leave the world of the lost. I feel like that is the bad ending.
They don't seem like they have ill intentions.
Well, she don't have a brain yet, so...
Yeah, they can't formulate ill intentions. I do like the idea of us bringing Teddy out, but I'm kind of torn on what that means, because Teddy is at their core a teddy bear. They were somebody's best friend, and then who knows what happened, lost on a field trip, lost in the dryer. Something happened, now they are here. So we're kind of gifted two opportunities when you bring them back into the real space. Either they continue being the Teddy that we know of them, or they just return to being a stuffed animal toy.
That's why my first instinct was Susie, because I feel like either way, Teddy would be taken care of fairly well.
Yeah, I agree.
That would be very sweet.
But on the other hand, at least from a serious perspective, there's something wrong with Teddy that they can't put a finger on. This entire time, I've had a dark link with fucking Teddy Valentine. And I've been trying to, come to terms with why. And I think I understand it a little bit better. It's not that she doesn't like Teddy or she doesn't trust them. It's just their existence is wrong. There's something about that the series hesitant to let be pulled back into reality. There's a reason that they've been brought to this place and are acting in this manner.
Isiri is just being so paranoid and racist against bears.
I know!
You heard it here first. The fish is racist against bears.
Well, considering what the Kodiak bear does to the salmon every
Yeah.
No, that is not the problem.
I don't think I'm too worried about Teddy having sinister intentions. Swag is willing to wait until the last thing, because it seems like Teddy has a job that they like doing here in the world of the lost and would not want to take that experience away from them. But it doesn't seem like there will be a ton for them to do when things come back together again.
Mm-hmm.
And it would be nice to, if they do remain sentient, have some sort of representative of the world of the lost to speak with people of Sequence Charter to gain more of that idea of world travel.
True. On the other hand, Tao proposes a very heavy idea for a reward from the Master, which is to give back that lost history and data regarding Earth and what the governance has kept hidden from people.
That's one thing Tao's been interested in ever since our first jaunt back into Sequence Charter when we went to the library. There was basically no information on who the governance was, what the world was like before they came. Tao is very intrigued by that and wants to get those answers, and heard Isiri being very concerned about what happened to the planet before and thought maybe I could get Isiri to agree to this too.
You do eventually sway her, because the more information she can get while she was dormant, the better for her. But she is worried that, considering the delicate state that she inadvertently caused for these people, that too much all at once is too much all at once.
I feel like it makes a lot of sense for this Tao to being the one from Sequence Charter to seek this information.
Yeah, that's also something I was thinking of when I was asking for that.
Tao has been coming into the world of the lost as whichever one is currently traveling with the party, so
Yep.
it was specifically a Sequence Charter version of Tao that came in. I wonder what kind of texture is over this Tao. We didn't really talk about that when they're in the world of the lost. Is it different from the other Taos that we see in the world of the lost?
I don't know that we really talked about Tao having a different texture in the world of the lost. Did we?
No, we didn't.
Yeah.
But yeah, well, when we're in the world of the lost, like, different symbolic textures kind of crawl over your skin while you're there.
Right. Yes. That's one thing we haven't brought up in a while. I assume it would be pretty similar for all of the different versions of Tao, but it may have changed since Tao's whole new world.
Ooh, a texture for Tao's world. I didn't think about that. We do eventually get to the bottom of the stink.
You're not wrong, but
Isiri and Smog both go in the hole to figure out the stink.
Isiri can just tell it's familiar, but Smog recognizes it. And the reason Smog even went down is because he thought it might be juice. This is a representation of juice being down in the swamp here in the world of the lost, because the people of the world are not cognizant of him, but he is there.
Yeah, I think the only being actually aware is the sleep beast.
Yep.
Because you took them there.
I guess we know that Juice is not asleep, because then Juice would probably be there.
Yeah.
I mean, would Juice be pulled to the world of the lost without Smog there?
Maybe
It doesn't
not.
seem like it happens to everyone, just with the main crew of us. Yeah, they might not.
Yeah, it seems like Juice is in the borderline between being lost and found, which is mildly terrifying.
I mean, they're very well hidden away. Very few people know of their existence. Just a sliver away from being lost.
Yeah. The familiarity of the scent is driving Isiri nuts. I think Smog's behavior in that conversation may trigger a memory of what that is.
Yeah, Smog is just like, it's not the time to deal with this right now. Fuck you, Juice 2. It's just a contingency plan in case Alexander and I are not the ones who need to travel somewhere, and you don't need to worry about it beyond that.
And then I love the Abyss's response, which is like, haven't you had enough contingency plans?
And then Smog is like, maybe you should have had any.
And then you leave before I could have come up with a retort.
Yeah. Mic drop out.
Mic drop later. You're supposed to let things die, Alexander.
It is a good budding rivalry.
It definitely is.
I'm very excited. I don't think I've ever had a roleplay situation where I've had, like, a rival, so I'm very excited to go down this avenue.
I love having a contentious player-character relationship. It's always fun to, like, see those rough moments.
That's the fun part, too, because Isiri isn't mad at Smog. She very much pities and wishes she could help Smog, but she's pissed at Alexander.
Which is so funny because, from my perspective, Alexander is the one who gave Smog a last chance, and Smog continued his bullshit. And that's the only reason he's in that position.
I don't know. I feel like a trip to the world of spirit is in order soon.
All I'll say is that I am 15 experience from changing my playbook again, I guess.
That's disgusting.
You have too much experience.
I
What are
do
you going to
have
do
too
with
much
all that
experience.
experience?
You should use your ultimate form to share it more with the rest of the class.
That's what I did last time, so
Do it again.
just keep doing it.
Just
Burn that mana.
Do you have an idea of what playbook you're going to next?
I knew exactly what I'm doing next.
Okay.
Wow.
I knew when we saw Juice again, and that's part of why we did that scene.
Interesting.
I'm fascinated, but And I'm trying to like pour through my mental memory of all the books. I'm like, what the fuck could it be?
I think it would be completely wild if Smog ended up turning into a memory from being so split up across time.
Ooh.
There are so many ways you could go.
Yeah.
Smog very much feels like a mystic kind of character as well.
Yeah. Especially recently being like, it's not the time to tell you that, or this is how it should have been. We might see fairly soon. I'm hoping that we at least completely get through the world of songs, so there is one whole world where we have this version of Smog.
Yeah, Jana said that we're very close to finishing it, so I'm sure once we get the gang back together, because Dee wasn't here for this previous session, that we'll go back and complete our mission there.
And I have a feeling that the next time we head back to Sequence Charter, it might not be that long, considering we just had a little break and what happened.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, I'll be real with you, Chief. I could spend like the rest of this game in Sequence Charter. There's so much shit to do there.
My idea for next time is take a field trip to another charter.
That's not a bad one. I'd be down. I'm very curious.
Smog's just like, we have a whole fucking world here. It's not just actually Sequence Charter. Let's go talk to somebody else.
You're right.
Especially just like being not so low-key upset with Tara all of the time. Be like, here's how another place here is run.
I think that would be good for Isiri to see more too, because ostensibly she is from this dimension, right? So knowing more about what happened to the people of the place we call Earth is important to her.
Very interested to see what's going on there, personally.
I have many thoughts. I have many schemes.
It's funny that the humans of Sequence Charter don't seem ready to buy in yet. They're like, well, it could be like another version, sort of like there are different versions of worlds that we've seen. Like, Geyser and Tao's world might be close to each other, and those are both close to what Earth was before everyone had to leave.
Yeah.
So sort of hedging their bets against that when Isiri is like, we share the same world.
But Isiri's like, no, we do. I promise you. I'm very curious to see how Tao will handle receiving all this information in the next session and how they're going to go about dispensing it to the people of Sequence Charter.
Tao will probably give the book a read through and then like leave it with Tara. That seems like the best way to get the info out responsibly is by not trying to manage that all themselves.
You mean you're not just going to sneak it into the library and let whoever finds it find it?
I mean, could do that. Could write a song about everything that's happened and you're singing it at karaoke.
A ballad of the tragedy of your world. That might be the most upsetting way to go about this.
Yeah, probably.
Because you've turned it into a spectacle.
But we could have like a whole pyrotechnics show. It would be great.
Shit, you're right.
It's like Hamilton. It's that historical event turned into a big production for the masses as a way to educate the people. It's great. Tao's just the next Lin-Manuel Miranda.
I don't...
I mean, they would be even farther removed chronologically from those specific events.
Also potentially much more traumatizing for them.
Yeah.
The people that tried to enslave them.
Would y'all have done anything different?
No, I don't think so. I think as far as keeping up with Tao's character, that was how they would have reacted and got some nice, juicy story tidbits out of that from Tao. Mostly staying back, but having a couple moments.
I don't actually want to have done this, but I would like to know how the other characters might have reacted if Smog and Alexander were just open about, Juice is hanging out in the world of spirit right now. Just in the goo vat.
Probably, can we go visit?
I've talked to you a little bit about this, but, Isiri would be fucking pissed about it. Just let this poor thing die.
But Juice already grew so much older and bigger and accompanied Smog and other things. If I let him die there, then he's not going to be around for our other adventures that we already did.
You should be dead too. Would be her point as well.
I am dead, just not now.
You should be dead.
Not now and here. There's another place where I'm dead. You can be happy there, but you can't be happy here.
Die. Diagnose you with dead. Yeah, the only thing I can think of that I would have done differently is I'm still sort of playing with new Isiri's voice, and I kind of have come to terms with the fact that it's probably going to meet in the middle of the two extremes, which was, before Transformation Isiri, which is very bubbly and sweet, but like now this abyssal thing is a little bit more knowing and powerful and more direct. I'm going to try to like come back in the middle, but right now I'm okay with it being a little bit more on the abyss side.
Yeah, it's hard for me to, now that I'm doing Smog voice again and this new Alexander voice, come back into, I need to sound kind of robotic, but also a little edgy when I'm coming back into non-World of the Lost form.
I think ultimately I want Isiri to sound like a great fairy from like Zelda. But I need to...
I feel like they're very like husky voice, like, huh?
No.
But maybe I'm not remembering it right. Well, there are also lots of different great fairies.
Yeah, I'm mostly thinking of Ocarina of Time and then Breath of the Wild, Tears of the Kingdom.
Okay.
Great fairies, where they're a little bit more flirty and, a little bit more jovial.
A little bit manic to it.
A little bit manic, yeah.
Yeah.
So hopefully we'll get there. If not, then I'll do my best. Alright, let's get into the resolution phase, the segment of the show where we each get to say something about the game with no responses. What is your final say on this session, Zach?
This Tao is happy to see you, but really just wants you all to go back to the world of the song so they can continue with their karaoke binge. You cannot find me on social media for the most part nowadays, but I'm gonna once again steal Alex's thing and give a media recommendation. If you're looking for a series of all these different worlds and people hopping between them, go read Brandon Sanderson's Cosmere. All of those books. That'll keep you occupied for a few years.
And for you, Alex?
So in our group Discord today, Dee shared with us the concept of Vogue and was like, I want to create an off-brand Smog. And I, in turn, created the entire What EFFETE crew of Vogue and Cherry the Bomb, Gelzer the Mime, Irisi the Harpy, Ro, who's like Tao, but more clippy instead of Vocaloid, more for writing, Arissa, and Goatsy instead of Pony, which I'm very sorry for. You can find me on Twitter at Shining Crobat. This week, I recommend the podcast Query, where host Cameron Esposito, who is a notable stand-up comedian and actor, interviews other queer people, notable mostly in entertainment, but also sometimes in other fields like charity, or I think one time had like a realtor on. So yeah, lots of interesting perspectives on queerness from lots of different people, mostly about their jobs.
And for myself, I'm excited to get back to the world of the song, and I really want to see what's happened since we've been gone. Hopefully not too much, but who knows? Time dilation's a complicated thing. You can find me under the moss in your local bog, as that is where I belong with all the rest of the pillbugs. This has been Resolve, an afterplay show. You can find us online at most social media sites at ResolveAP.
Except Instagram, which is at ResolveAfterplay.
Thank you so much for everyone for joining us today. You can buy the game we're playing, Interstitial, Our Hearts Intertwined, from its creator, Riley Hopkins, at linksmithgames.com.
All links will be included in the episode description.
Thank you again for listening. We end our turn here, so now it's your turn. Tell us what's happening in your game.